So will you just state your name and title for me?
I'm Jimmy Waters, Media Specialist at Harlem High School.
Okay, and what type of degree is required for your position?
Not necessarily, shouldn't have eaten on them. Not necessarily a degree, but a certification. So I was a Spanish teacher for 13 years, and then I moved into the Learning Commons, and I had to go back to Georgia Southern to get my library media specialist certification.
Mm-hmm.
I could have made it into another degree, but I just simply took the courses for certification.
Yeah, right. What are your main job responsibilities?
What should they be, or what are they?
Oh, yeah.
As media specialist, I am in charge of course, the collection of the books,
Mm-hmm.
the weeding, the maintenance, the collaboration to make sure we have resources for all the right classes. And then with that comes the technology, some of the laptops. Now, I share that with our technology specialist, but other things.
Oh, sorry.
No.
It's okay. For school students, breakfast is now being served. Breakfast is now being served. The highlight is eggs and toast. If you're interested in eating breakfast, walk on down to the cafeteria at this time. Breakfast is now being served.
That is so cheerful.
She does a great job at it.
That's awesome. Wait, no, high school lunchrooms are not so cheerful.
Yeah.
But other things that have been added are like fixed assets, having to do the inventory for the building. I wish we could focus more on teacher collaboration and reading initiatives.
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes that takes a back seat.
Right.
So my media clerk, now she's awesome. She is a huge reader, so she does a lot of stuff with the kids, getting them motivated to read and participate more. So
how do you feel like you're meeting the needs of faculty and staff during remote learning? So like that digital learning day coming up.
Our main thing, number one, is to make sure that all the kids have what they need in their hand. So making sure every kid has a device, making sure each household has internet access.
Right.
So this year that they're giving us, Verizon has given us hotspots. So we're going to be able to check those out to families with no internet service. And then the other thing is making sure that the teachers are able to record and make it effective.
Right.
Not all of them can do that. So getting the things in the kids' hands, making sure that the teachers are able to be effective in their videos and their activities. So it's not just, and then making those two things work together. So like on Digital Learning Day, this is kind of like the call center, which is but if there's an issue with technology that they call my extension, and I try to do what we can to make it work.
Right. Do you guys post anything for the parents? I know our school has to post a few things on our Facebook.
Yeah, the county gives us some things that we have to use their images and things like that.
Yeah.
But we have a Google site that has frequently asked questions, all that kind of stuff. So we just have that out there, and then we shoot it out in a mass text to everybody saying, go here, let me know if you need a device, that kind of thing.
Right. What are your typical daily job activities on your job? So what do you know you're going to do when you walk in the door every day?
The first thing I do every morning is I check Google password issues. So if any kid has any kind of issues with their login, we have QR codes around the school. So that's my first login. My second login is to all the media specialists get it's called a OneSync report. And it's a report from the county of all new accounts, new students. So I will check that for any Harlem students, activate them, send it to their teachers. Then next is we have something called peer facilitation. And that is basically teachers' aides, teacher helpers. And they report to the Learning Commons to get their jobs. So we get the kids, where they're supposed to be with their tasks. And then right now it's fixed asset audit stuff. That's consumed my world for the past month. But Ms. Huffman and I will start, like right now we're going to do dynamic shelving. We're going to try it. Have you heard of that yet?
No, I haven't heard of that.
So that's our process this morning. So first we genreified everything.
Mm-hmm.
So we don't use the Dewey Decimal anymore.
Yeah, we don't either.
So, but now we're going to do dynamic shelving where instead of all the books being spine, it's more of like everything is a display.
Oh, wow.
So instead of having all the books this way, some will be this way, some will be this way, some will be open, some will be, and so when you walk in, you'll be able to see a lot more. So hopefully, we're hoping that'll get more circulation going, but that's what we're doing now.
Did you have to weed a lot of books before you did that?
Yeah, well, I had to read a lot whenever we got here, when I got here, because they changed, what was it called? It's called SACs. And we used to have a certain number of books per student. So we were the previous person was keeping books that were old and junky because they had to have a copy count.
Mm-hmm.
Well, when they got rid of that, we were able to get rid of so much. And then the Learning Commons movement hit to where they only want books on the perimeter. So we weeded encyclopedias, and old stuff. And but instead of weeding to do this, we're finding that we need to add more because it's showing us like our scary stories and our horror section is tiny.
Yeah.
Our fantasy is humongous. So it's showing us what we need to add to.
So with that, do you have a budget that you control, and how do you make your decisions on selecting resources for that budget?
I don't control the budget. The county gives it to us, and it's broken down into like what should be printables, what should be books, but they are flexible with that.
Mm-hmm.
So, like I don't need technology that year, I can buy a lot more books.
Right.
But what I do is I reach out to parents, I reach out to businesses, and then we have a coffee station. Our old card catalog is a coffee station, and kids buy coffee as a little fundraiser. They stop and get a muffin and coffee in the mornings, and that money goes in too. So now years that I want, like I know if I want something big the next year, I can request it in the budget the year before, but I haven't had to do that too much.
Okay. Have you had an opportunity to impact technology integration in your school, like with the teachers?
Not as much as I want to, because we have, at the high school, we have what's called an ITS, Instructional Technology Specialist.
Right, that's right. So
she's the one that works on actually bringing apps and games and activities into the classroom. But me and the TSS, we're the ones that work with the principal of saying like where actual devices are needed.
Right.
So it's kind of like a four-person team.
Yeah. So the next question is, does your school have a technology committee? But it sounds like maybe all four of you kind of work together in that aspect.
Yeah. The technology specialist, me, the instructional technology specialist, and then the principal who is in charge of, ordering and making sure that extra money goes to where it can go.
You guys have like a digital learning team with the teachers?
We do. We have a digital learning team that we cross it with our media selection group. So it's just a few of us teachers, and I try to get one from all the departments. It doesn't always work that way. But yeah, that's us.
Okay. And what do you think is the best part of your job?
I think the best part for me is, and I'm just comparing it to being a classroom teacher,
right?
Is that when I was a Spanish teacher, I got to see this amount of kids. And most of them were kids who were going to college because, that's a college prep pathway. But now I get to interact with all of them. And I feel like I get to impact more kids that may not go to their teacher, may not go to their counselor. Not that we're trying to replace anybody.
Right.
But I just think we have a bigger classroom that can impact a lot more kids and a lot more like different kids I never would have been able to serve or help in the classroom.
All right. I accidentally skipped over one. But you kind of answered it as already with the technology decisions. You said you go to your principal first and he kind of gives the final approval. Yeah, that was all that was. What do you think is the most challenging part? So you said the best part, but what's the hardest part to you?
Well, I don't think it's specific to being a media specialist or in the learning homes. I think our biggest problem right now, and I think in education everywhere, is just the apathy and getting the kids motivated. Like kids, they don't want to participate in stuff, and it's driving us nuts. Like we're having to cancel events that we've done for 30 years because we just want to do it. So to add on to that of here, let's try to read,
Yeah.
That's what we're struggling is just getting like pulling teeth to get them to participate in stuff. That's our struggle.
Right. And then do you have teachers that come visit the library with their classes?
All the time. Now it's a little less this year because we did a huge push at the end of last year to get as many devices in the classrooms. So this used to almost be like a computer lab that they would sign up to bring their classes to use the computers. They don't use them as much because they've got so many.
Right.
So we work closer with the ELA classes. So we'll do like speed dating with books and all that kind of stuff. But that's always kind of more geared to the lit classes.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think that's all. So I'm going to go ahead and stop recording.